Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am making stew. So I bought a roast to make this stew just because it was going to be cheaper to buy the roast and cut the roast up myself into bite-sized pieces. But I did trim most of the fat off of the meat, but I'm going to leave it in here and season it so that when I'm cooking the meat, the beef and everything, that it's still going to get the flavor from that. I will separate the fat from most of the fat. I'll leave some of it in there, like the pieces that have got the fat attached to it and such. But most of the fat will be coming out of the out of this when I do put it into the actual crock pot. So right now, what I'm doing is I put a bunch of flour in here. I don't know how much. I didn't quite measure it. Then I threw some salt and some seasoning salt and some pepper in here as well. I just measured these with my heart. You're just using it for flavoring at this point, so it's not too big of a deal. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we're going to throw it in here. And we are going to coat our beef chunks in stages. So, and then we're going to go ahead and sift all the additional flour and such out. And this is just a great way to do this. So I'm just doing this, as I mentioned, in stages. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover all of my meat with my flour and seasoning salt mixture, and I will be back shortly for the next step. Okay, so what we're going to do to thicken our stew up, now you can see that it does have some thickness, but it's still really, really liquidy. All right, and we do want, for a stew, you do want to have it thicker than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the seasoning that we had earlier for our beef, and we're going to add a little bit of this. So we're just going to add it gradually so that it's not clumpy. So I'm adding probably about 1/4 cup at a time. I don't want the beef in there while I'm doing this. If I get a couple vegetables in there, that's not a big deal. But I definitely don't want the beef, and that is hot. Just gonna punch this through. There we go. I probably did add too much flour into my bowl here, but that's okay. It just means hopefully I don't need to continue to be trying to make a roux. Hopefully I will have enough flour and seasoning so that it makes my roux properly, that it will thicken my stew. I'm just going to move it back a bit so you can see the roux. So as you can see here, I am making this. Now I do want to add some more because it's still a little too thick. And as I am as the flour has been mixed into the base, the stew base, I am adding more each time that I do add to the roux. So I'm not using just minimal amounts still. Okay. One more of these little bits here should do it. There we go. So as you can see, it makes a nice little base that I can add to my stew here. And it was a big advantage. Actually, I've got my spoon over there that I can use. And it's an advantage if you have extra of the seasoning left over from when you coat your beef, that it does help because you've already got the same seasonings in there. So you're not having to re-season any flour, or you're adding just flour flavor to it. This is giving you the seasoning as well. And this is a little warm, which I did expect. There we go. So you're just going to add it, and then you're going to mix it up. I'm just going to add the whole thing in there. There we go. And if I need to, I can still, because I still have some of my flour base left, I can still go in and thicken it up some more. But what we're going to do is we are going to let it sit here and cook for just a few more minutes, just to see how much it thickens up. All right, so I will be back in a little while. Okay, everyone, so our stew and our biscuits are ready. So we're just going to go ahead and I'm just going to dish out some stew. And so just let me get some of this in the bowl here, and then I will show you the biscuits in just a minute. Okay, there's that. So here you go, stew and biscuits. Well, thank you. Have a good night and enjoy.